But there did come a point when Alesha was afraid for her life. We have evidence that supports that. And it was
What's up, guys? Welcome to day 5 of CRIMETOBER. Now, today's episode focuses on 18-year-old Alesha Bell. Now, Alesha's case is said to be in connection with 22-year-old Jasmaine Smith, but we'll discuss that a little later in this episode. Now, Alesha went missing on July of 2015. It said that she was walking to a relative's house in Warren, Ohio, and that was the last time anyone had ever seen her. Shortly after leaving the home, she texted her mother basically saying, "Mama, if I make it back, I need you. I'm scared." And of course, frantic, her mother calls her phone and the phone goes straight to voicemail. Now, Alesha never made it to her relative's home. And of course, family were concerned and they put out a missing persons report for her. In August of 2015, on an unknown different charge, police ended up going to James Brooks' homes to raid it, and while they were there in a wooded area on the property, they ended up finding human remains. Now, police were very suspicious of Brooks because Brooks was very known to Alesha's family. Brooks and Alesha's mother had went to high school together, so he was very well known with the family. So he was kind of someone who was a suspect. And it had been stated that he was the last known person to see Alesha before she disappeared. Upon discovery of the human remains on his property, Brooks was charged with abuse to a human corpse and many other crimes. September 3rd, 2015, it had been reported that these human remains were in fact Alesha Bell's. And on May 25th, 2016, law enforcement were able to add these other charges to him. He had gotten 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter, human trafficking, drugs.
She wasn't alone.
The ones we know of, I think probably are around 7, 8. But there could be more, but we have information on less than 10.
Irochi says most, if not all, of the women were from Trumbull County, and that his office has evidence that Brooks had been trafficking women since May of 2014, but he believes it was happening much longer than that.
Drugs, prostitution, like the list goes on and on, y'all. This man was truly deep in some stuff, okay? And at this point, law enforcement believed there was way much more than in the relationship between Alesha and Brooks than what he led on. Prosecutors had stated that Brooks basically had a drug and human trafficking ring going on, and it's crazy, like he had so much going on, like dude. So in February of 2017, he ended up pleading guilty to the charges against Alesha. Sentenced to 30 years in prison. But what's crazy about the story is his human trafficking charges were later dropped. But law enforcement believe he, in fact, actually had a trafficking ring going on because there has been so many other missing girls who gone missing within the area. And this is where it leads to 22-year-old Jasmaine Smith. And it leads into Jasmine because it had been reported that the family stated that Jasmine knew Brooks as well. Crazy, okay? Like so crazy. June 5th of 2015, Jasmine crossed state lines to Farrell, Pennsylvania to witness her little sister's graduation from high school. This was the last time any of her family and friends would ever see her. Jasmine actually lived not too far from Warren, Ohio. And like I said previously, she knew the trafficker by the name of James Brooks. That is why law enforcement believe that the 2 cases may be linked together. Now, there hasn't been any new information to turn up on Jasmine at all whatsoever. Her family states that it's very unlike her to be out of touch with being in contact with them. And what makes it crazy is that she also, knew Brooks. She went missing before Alesha went missing, and there may be a connection there. And I wonder if he ever had spoken up about, the disappearance of Jasmine, because at the end of the day, her family deserves to know, what happened to her. And if you're going to admit and plead guilty to the charges against Alesha, if you did something to Jasmine, you need to let her family know as well, because that's not right. So at the time of Jasmine's disappearance, she was about 5'7", 5'8", weighing around 145 pounds. As black to brown hair with brown eyes. And I'm going to post her known tattoo so you guys can see it. It's truly sad, and I really don't think people get how real human trafficking is. Ohio literally has increased their human trafficking percentage, like, and it's ridiculous, you know, like human trafficking has increased worldwide, and it's definitely increasing more for these smaller towns that people don't really think about, and I don't think people realize that as well. But nonetheless, I'm sending prayers to Alesha's families. I feel so bad that their daughter, niece or whatever has to go through something like that. Like, can you imagine getting a text like that from your child and then the next breath they're gone? And then you have Jasmine where you don't know where your baby is, and there's a connection somewhere, there may be a connection somewhere in this other case because of this man, this predator. Like, people are really crazy. That is today's episode, guys. I'm really sending all the love and light to both families. Both families deserve that peace, and they deserve, Jasmine's family deserves to know what happened to her so that they can get some type of closure in. As always, guys, sending love and light, and I'll see you tomorrow, day 6. Bye, guys.